Okay, can you install solid hardwood in a basement? I'm assuming what you're asking is, can you install solid hardwood on a concrete or cement subfloor? The answer to that is simple. Yes, you can. No, you shouldn't. The reason you wouldn't, a couple of reasons you wouldn't. One is it's expensive. You're going to have to buy glue that's high solid, low moisture. It's going to be expensive. You might spend $1 a square foot or more just on glue. But the reason you wouldn't do it mainly is because the chance of failure. When we put solid wood on a concrete floor, we don't have the ability to control the moisture as well as we do on a wooden subfloor. Wooden subfloor, there's airflow underneath it. If we control the moisture level in that airflow underneath, we control the amount of moisture that migrates through that floor that could cause or could have repercussions on your wood. We lose that ability with a slab, okay? Now, today's slabs have plastic underneath them. Again, we can use these better glues. So it does cut down on the chances that your wood gains too much moisture. What happens when wood gains too much moisture is it expands. Now, again, if we're on a wood subfloor, we nail the wood floor down, the relative humidity increases, and it causes this board to gain volume. It expands, the edges come up. It's called cupping, okay? Buckling. The floor looks like a washboard. Most of the time you can dry it out and it'll lay down at least partially. But if we're on a concrete slab, when that floor expands, it can cause the glue to turn loose. Now, if you've got a really good high solid glue that to dumb it down, it's like half rubber and half glue, then it is resilient and it expands, contracts with that wood. It doesn't release. But more likely when you get that expansion, the glue's going to lose its hold and you're going to have a big old pile of loose lumber in your floor. I've seen that happen a few times and it's really ugly. Plus the fact you've lost all that money you spent putting that floor down. I understand the reason people want to glue down a solid floor is because they just like the look of a solid floor. But if you look at Somerset's engineered floor, they have a process that's different than the way most people make floors. When most of the lamellos or the veneer for the top is made, they use a process called rotary peeling. And in that, they take a log and a giant razor blade, to dumb that down because I really don't know how they do it, but they cut a real thin layer off of that log and the log turns and they keep cutting. So when they get done, they've got a really long piece that they cut into 4x8 sheets and they glue it on top of a finished 4x8 sheet of plywood and they cut it to make the engineered strips. Somerset doesn't do anything like that. Somerset cuts their lamellos, their veneers, just exactly like they cut a solid piece of wood, okay? They go across the face of the board. It's called face sawn process. Instead of the rotary peel, in face sawn, they cut it just exactly like they do a solid. It just happens to be thinner, okay? And then it's placed on those individual boards. With Somerset, they're using a 7-ply hardwood core. So you're getting not only a board that looks just like a solid, it's also much more stable than a solid. Because of that 7-ply core, each layer is turned alternating directions so that when we introduce moisture to it, or the moisture wicks up from underneath, we don't get that expansion like we would in a solid and the floor doesn't turn loose. Now, you and I are the only ones that have to know that that's an engineered floor because when you look at those, you can't tell, okay? They're cut just exactly like a solid.